Hello, everyone. Good evening. Today we have a very special guest with us on our episode 4 of Let's Set Go. It's the brain behind the Fantasy League, which we organized for you guys in the ICPL Chapter 2. I was just going through, just searching online on how I can create something for that ICPL, and I came across MyClubtap, and the story started from there on. So we have Vicky with us, the founder of MyClubtap. Hi, Vicky. Welcome to Let's Set Go by BQ Sports.
Hi, Kasim, and thanks for having me here, and thanks, brother, as well. It's really nice being along with you guys. Thanks.
Vicky, just for the introduction, just take us through who you are and how it all started with MyClubtap.
Well, Kasim, as you would understand, I'm sure others would understand as well. We're all cricket fanatics. I am no different. I think it started with my own craze. Following cricket, coming from India. Obviously, growing up, I was a huge cricket fan. Still am. I think it started there. Wanted to watch everything, wanted to play cricket all the time. But I think over a period of time, I kind of got interested with fantasy sports very early on. I remember there used to be Super Selector. I'm not sure how many people remember that. They used to do that a lot. Like I remember filling, notebooks after notebooks, doing that, and I think that's something that stayed with me. I've been in Australia for about 15 years now. And once I came here, I started playing cricket for a local cricket club. Uh, and this kind of came back to me, thinking of bringing kind of fantasy to my own club. Literally started off doing it on, getting people to give me their teams on paper. And I used to do it on Excel files and creating formulas and stuff. This was very early on, when I joined my cricket club here in Melbourne. So I think that's where it started. I do not think I'll work towards it, kind of take it further. But yeah, I started kind of getting into it year after year. I think for first 4 or 5 years, I never really thought about it too much, other than just doing it at my own club. But it's grown from there. So I continue to kind of build on the platform, continue to improve it, continue to take it to more people around me, and said, "Hey, would you like me to do it for you?" So I think that's where it started. I started reaching out to the clubs around me, and
And
yeah, over the years, it's kind of evolved and grown, and it has come to a point today where we connected and we were able to do it for an indoor cricket competition. Yeah.
yeah, how many competitions have you done so far, all those years?
I think over the years, I've done probably around 450 plus club or now what I call league-based games as well. I think
Mhm.
league-based games have only started coming in the last couple of years. But overall, I think we've done over 400, 425 or around 400, 450 competitions overall.
So, is
Great.
this your first Indo cricket venture with Fantasy League?
So we've done one more, but very recently. But again, that was not as expensive as what we did with Kasim and the team. This was really expensive. So yeah, I mean, like think of it in those lines. Definitely first one where we explored a lot. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about it. But I had a little taste of it. But then the feast came with Kasim, Shreya, and Hussain. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in our first meeting when we jumped on after I registered on your website and I told you I need to speak to you.
Yeah.
You had no idea what indoor cricket is actually. Like, you thought that it's just playing cricket, normal cricket inside nets, but it's not exactly that. There is too many factors into it. And as we discussed, and then when Sancha and Shreya joined the second or the third meeting, I'm not sure which one was it, but after that you actually started thinking that yes, this can be done, this can be done, and then we started putting everything up. So it's been a very interesting journey, and I'm sure that our viewers would agree to that, even though we didn't i, I won't say we had huge number of participants playing, but eventually it will start growing for sure, because the interest which we saw within that limited community as well, it was immense. And we hope that next seasons or the next coming tournaments we would be able to grow for sure.
I think, yeah, 100%. I think we only touched on it. We barely kind of scratched the surface. there's so much more that we could have done, but obviously it comes from learning as well. As we were doing, like, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong here, we probably introduced 6 or 7 new things within like 2 weeks period, in terms of, after discussing things, we went back and went, oh, okay, we can do this, and that is different for indoor cricket than what it is for normal outdoor cricket. So yeah, we were pretty nimble on that front to be able to make those changes and introduce it again, because it was so new. I don't think we went too far with it either. So we've only introduced like the basics of it, right? Like, I would say we've used only 30% of what we had. We didn't go that far. But yeah, I think that's a learning thing. It's a stepping stone. Definitely the first step had to be taken. That's what we did with the first competition this year.
So, Vicky, what aspects were are still yet to be explored, which we did not use in our first iteration of this fantasy league? Could you
I
say,
think I think one thing that we didn't go too far was around the breadth of areas that we could cover in indoor cricket. In terms of the point system, that was one of those things. The system is capable of a lot in terms of what points system can do, but we didn't really go too far with it. Obviously, we did not want to confuse everyone. It is a very, very
Yeah.
new thing, and there are more questions than answers to begin with. And we don't want to confuse people right at the onset, which is why we try to keep it as simple as we possibly could,
Yeah.
and still make it exciting enough. And I think that is something we will, me, Kasim, Shreya, as we kind of look into the future, we'll definitely work on that a bit more. And that's also got to do with the learning and making sure that people are informed about it well in advance. This was the first season. This was the first time we were doing it. So we had to cut the window very short. I think we really started very, very late.
Yeah.
But that's understandable. Just given the nature of tournaments that is there, there's only so little that you can do with that. But I think as we learn, as more people actually know about it and are expecting it, I think they'll be better informed about it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
remember. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. I remember the first time when we met, Vicky. We said, "Oh, we have around 2 months to do these," and they're like, "Yeah, it's a lot of time. Let's catch up near to the date." But then once we started actually doing it, there were too many things, and during the tournament itself, we I think updated on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But then answering to one of your questions, what additional things we can add is one feedback which we got is that the point system was very batting heavy, right? It was favoring the batters a lot. So teams, I mean, in indoor cricket, everyone is a batter, everyone is a bowler. So you really can't complain on that aspect. But again, teams do look at having a better bowler over a better batter in their playing aids. So that's something that we need to look into, where we adapt the point system in a way that it doesn't favor the batting or the bowling of any player.
Yeah,
right.
no, absolutely. I think that was one of the big feedbacks that we got, and which we understood. I think we while we were
We
setting it all up, we kind of expected that to happen, but I think that was, again, we have to start somewhere. We start with that, and you learn from that.
Right. So,
exactly.
so
Go
I
ahead.
have one small question here. So when you use this in outdoor cricket, which I believe you have used this in outdoor cricket before, right? Is there a specific person who stays there on the field rating players, or is it solely based on scorecards and score sheets? Because I'm pretty sure in this ICPL it was based on just score sheets, right? When you calculate points. So how is it different when you compare it to outdoor?
Look, in terms of if the question is more towards whether this could be running in a live scenario, is that what you're trying to ask, brother?
No. So, say for example, there are more elements here compared to outdoor cricket. So, say for example, a fielder takes a couple of catches, right? You get points for that, I think, in other outdoor fantasy leagues. Here in indoor cricket, you necessarily do not record who took the catch or who was participating in a certain run out during the course of play, right? And neither it's there in the score sheets available. So how do we take that into account? If it's in outdoor cricket, are there certain elements which are not recorded in outdoor score sheets, and is there a dedicated person there on the ground for it?
Look, in terms of first, just to answer your question to begin with, the system allows you to do what you want to do in terms of recording of data. It can run on as low as 2 data points. It can run on as high as like 40-50 data points as well. So and when we talk about grassroots sports, whether indoor or outdoor, the recording of data in itself is very different. At some places there will be data that is recorded, at places the data would not be recorded. So the platform is flexible to cater to what you may have. In terms of being on field, for somebody to be on field to record different elements of the game, look, at the grassroots level, sometimes that is not fully possible. Definitely, it's got to do with resourcing, in terms of what resources might be available to the organizers. However, if the data has been recorded, or if there is data set available, the game can, or the system can allow you to enter that and kind of use that as a data point on the game itself. The data points that the outdoor platform or the outdoor cricket platform allows is very different to what indoor is, and that's where Qasim and Shayan Hussain were really instrumental in helping build that, or kind of make those changes which cater to indoor cricket specifically. And I'll try and kind of give another example. So when we talk about indoor cricket in this sense, as you said, but you don't record catches, there's no runouts. So there are certain things which are not recorded or are not available. So what have we done to cater towards it? What is available? When we look through the score sheets, there are dot balls available. Dot balls bowled by a bowler while bowling, dot balls played by a batsman or a batter while batting. So there are things like, and then there is contributions which is different to indoor. We were actually able to introduce the dot balls into the game. We only used dot balls by bowlers. We didn't use the dot balls faced by a batter. So I think there were things like that there is scope in terms of how better the system can get, or the game can get for indoor as well.
Yeah, but Vicky, we actually sorry, Vicky, but we actually calculated the strike rates also, right? So that does take into the consideration the number of balls that have been faced, and that does take care of the dot balls as well. And also we spoke about it, I think, during the tournament as well, that we would look to integrate the Torna Pro application which we have, and try to figure out a way where we can have an automatic scoring platform where it can be a live game as well. And also in terms of adding the runouts, the stumpings, and the courts and all that, we have already started working with the Torna Pro team, and you never know, maybe in chapter 3 we might have that feature as well. So we're just trying to see the feasibility of that, and if we are able to do that, I think that we are miles ahead of everyone else, and that could become something really different to the game.
No, 100%. I mean, from our side and from our perspective, 100%. If that data set is available, the system can definitely cater to that. We did not use that because obviously we knew that data set is not available, and absolutely, but we're looking forward to as Qasim said, definitely try and work towards those things and see how those things can also be introduced in the next chapters.
Right. So, I mean, the whole point, or whole reason rather, of me bringing that up is because fielding in particular is possibly one of the most, if not the most, crucial aspect of indoor cricket. I would go ahead and call it even twice as more critical comparing it to outdoor cricket, because there are some certain events in which the bowler might not bowl a good ball, or the batsman might play an excellent shot, but the fielding on the other hand might yield in a run out, or in a catch, actually, right? So we as a team, or maybe as a group of individuals here in the indoor cricket circuit, since we are looking to expand the game and to uplift its nature, one of the most important things is to use maybe the fantasy league as a stepping stone to rate different players in a long term, right? So, but that will only happen if you rate them fairly across all the three aspects: fielding, batting, and bowling, right? As Qasim mentioned, currently it's a bit more batting heavy. For sure, we'll balance that out with bowling in the next chapters. But fielding is one thing which is an area of improvement for a very very long time. So I was just thinking along that road, if there is some way to maybe integrate it with Toner Pro, if we change the interface a bit, just to at least record who participated in a run out or who took a catch, so that those players get their due share of points as well, at least in terms of fantasy league. Because there are excellent fielders in the circuit. They outperform pretty much every batsman or bowler. They might be average with the bat or ball, but their shadow contributions per se in during the course of the game are so important that they can turn things around for their team with just a couple of moments in the match.
I agree with you, Badr, and I think that's a point that's obviously missing in terms of having that data available. And to be honest, especially if it's a close game, somebody with the fielding stats can really help. So yeah, I think these are sort of things as we have more data available, I think the system will definitely be able to cater to all of that. It still is. But yes, eventually, hopefully, we will get there. I'm sure Qasim and team are working quite a bit on there and to be able to have those sort of data sets available. But yeah, from my perspective, from our side, definitely we'll continue working and try and get as many new things into it as possible.
Yeah, you're speaking about moments, and I have one follow up question on this. Does this fantasy league app have its capability of rating players with respect to a certain reference? What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, a team is chasing, right? And there is a certain skin or certain batting pair who has a proper target, okay? And they achieve it to such an extent that it relieves pressure off of the future batting pairs, right? Say for example, there's a target of 70 and a pair comes in and scores 45 in just the first skin, and then the rest of the batting pairs have very less to do with the match per se, right? So is there such a feature in which we put references for each batting pair? Say for example, if there's a run chase in a knockout match where skins do not matter, you have 80 runs to score in 4 batting pairs. That's around 20 per batting pair, right? Now, the first batting pair does twice the job. That removes half of the burden from the future batting pairs. So, does that give them a sort of a multiplier because they achieve their target twice, actually, right? Is that capable enough of doing it?
Excellent question. Just to think of it in that manner, whoever has asked this question, thank you so much. It's a brilliant question. Qasim, I'm sure this is something we will get to speak about a bit more. To answer the question, but currently no. Currently the system doesn't allow for that, and I'll try and explain why. Because what this means is taking into consideration different pairs. The different stages of the match in that sense, and that is not in the system, or that was not in the scope of the system as we started building the platform. So however, not to say that this cannot be done 100%. I can, as I was listening to the question, I can see and think how this works. However, it's a different structure to what the platform is right now. It will have to incorporate a lot of other aspects in terms of batting pairs, in terms of different stages of the game, and how all of that then impacts the performance or the calculation of the performance from a particular fixture. So again,
sorry, why we are asking this question is because we are not looking at MyClubtap as just a fantasy league for us. I think it's gone beyond that right now with us, because the way we saw the numbers, that has never been shown in indoor cricket. I'm sure about that. So like number of one scored by someone, number of two scored by someone, number of three scored by someone. That's something very different, and I think some of the players who were playing, they were very interested in that as well, to see. I always had a feeling that I think I spoke about this in previous podcast as well with Shreya, that a player like I'm talking about Abdullah, but when I see him bat, he does a lot of ones, and he was like the leading one scorer, and it was shown, like that stat was shown on the fantasy league as well. So that's something that really would help us, and I know that can be put on the scoring system, calculation, and all that, but the aspect which fantasy league is giving us is very different to that. So we can calculate points based on those stats, and we can actually know who the MVP is, not just based on the contribution is number of runs minus the number of runs conceded. So that's something that is really interesting to all of us here.
Now, 100%, Kasim, and it's a big box. We've only just tried to open it. We've not even opened it properly.
Just scratch the surface, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when me and Kasim, we spoke for the first time, and we started going over ones and twos. Remember, Kasim, when I said,
Yeah.
fours and sixes, because I was talking in those
Yeah.
terms. But when we started going about the indoor perspective, and I think that is where, after having a conversation with Kasim, I went back and actually looked at it and go, okay, what is it that we can do in the short term to be able to, at least bring some sort of data out. And I think the one thing that we definitely wanted to do was get those ones, twos, threes, fours, because I could see from what Kasim explained to me at that time, that data wasn't there. And even, just as a part of while we were doing the scores and everything, it's not yet integrated with Toner Pro. We would love, hopefully we get there as well. But just to be able to at least provision that data for not just the tournament, but the players themselves, I'm sure, they would have liked that, to at least see how many ones they've scored out of whatever runs they scored at the end of the competition. So I think at least to be able to provision that was good. But there's so much more that can be done. I mean, this has become a thing of its own now. I think I need to stop saying it's a cricket platform. I need to probably diversify and just go indoor cricket is completely separate to the normal cricket.
I always tell everyone that don't consider it as a cricket sport. It's a sport in itself. So you have to look at it in that way. And so numbers obviously they play a very big role in anyone's interest towards it. So even who hits the most sevens? I think anyone you ask in indoor cricket community right now, they would say Kasim. And that was proven in that ICPL list. If you look at the number of sevens and the fours, and he probably is the best hitter right now. Even though yes, he got out the most also, because obviously when you try to go for big hits, there is a consequence for that. So it was very interesting, like seeing what we speak in terms of numbers as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. All right. So just to follow up on the same subject, when you're talking about giving points to players, a whole different reason that I have is, say for example, there's a batting pair again that comes in and scores 15, or no, let's exaggerate a bit. Let's say they've scored 30 runs, right? And however, their target was 25. So as a batting pair, they've exceeded their requirement, right? They've achieved their target, so to speak. But then you have another batting pair that comes in, and again their skins requirement chasing is just 4 runs or maybe 5 runs, and they end up scoring 8 runs. Technically speaking, they have secured the skin, so they have accomplished at least one aspect of the game, because skins do matter in indoor cricket, as Kasim mentioned, right? So but what I'm predicting, looking at the system right now, is considering that we are looking at a more batting heavy performance and more individualistic performance based rating system, the second skin who has scored 8 runs will be slightly more harshly rated compared to the skin at the start. But since that second factor is not considered, in which what was your reference point, that might result in a slightly unfair methodology, so to speak, right? So that's another way to look at it. So I mean, it just goes to show how many elements there are in the Indo cricket game, right? There, when we can keep counting and counting, the whole the different picture can be painted with regards to everyone's picture. I remember in our first episode, our guest Manish, he's rightly mentioned that. I mean, we brought up a similar question: how do you rate or how do you categorize different players into different divisions, right? Because currently there are 5 or I think 6 divisions of players, and he mentioned a very good point. He says that his way of rating a player might be completely different compared to maybe Kasim's way of rating a player, maybe my way. So it's more subjective, but we have to transition from subjective to objective. And Fantasy League or My Club app might just be the tool to use that moving forward. Of course, it's a long process. It can't be developed in just a month or two. But if we develop a proper framework and a skeleton on a roadmap for it, then I'm pretty sure we might be able to get there.
What this will do is it will help us do the ranking system as well, right? We don't have any kind of a ranking system, where we can, like in ICC, we have top bowlers, top batters, top whatever, but we cannot have this kind of a system right now because there's no continuity or there's no consistency in how we are rating the players. So a player who's C division in one tournament is a B division in the other one. So there is nothing right now to demonstrate that. So
Yeah.
if we are able to make a if we are able to use my club in all the tournaments going forward from here on, and then have a particular structured rating system, and then we can use those point system as a ranking system as well. So that's something that we can look into for sure.
So Vicky,
I
is
think
this
definitely, yes.
is this
I
being
think
used as a
definitely,
ranking
yeah.
system in outdoor?
Sorry, go again.
Is this being used currently as a ranking system in outdoor cricket or a rating system as well?
Not
Not.
as yet. No, we haven't had anyone do it as such as yet. But again, not to say it cannot be done. And obviously, as the system has continued to kind of grow and evolve, uh, the use cases of what you were discussing just now, those will continue to come up. I mean, everyone sees value differently in the same thing. So yeah. However, just to kind of go back to the point of what Kasim was saying, in terms of doing when we've done this first one, this will help us get to that point now in the second one, because we didn't have this to begin with. We did not have that data to begin with on which to actually base anything. So we started off with nothing. So now that we've got one season worth of data, at least the next time around, there will be a way that we'll find in terms of how to kind of use that to come to do what you've asked in terms of qualifications and all of those things. So yeah, I think that's something definitely we'll continue to work on.
Mm-hmm.
One thing which I would say it's a feedback as well. Building an app for this one, because sometimes choosing the team on the phone, it's not an easy task. So people were struggling a bit on that. Yes, the user interface is really good. I mean, it's easy to navigate around, but again, an app brings in a new feel to it, right? So what are the plans on that?
I think it's a no-brainer. So I'm the first one on the list who wants to do that. I think that's more a thing about, because look, the platform has evolved and changed a lot. Obviously, every I mean, it used to be a season-based thing that I used to think of it as previously, but every year the system has and the platform has evolved and changed. Uh, there have been multiple reasons why I haven't gone towards the app. Obviously, funding being one of those things, and as the acceptance to the platform is growing, it's kind of making us take that risk as well and move forward with those things. However, because the platform has seen so many changes, it was risky to kind of get into the app straight away, purely because the idea is evolving, still evolving, and we wanted to kind of make sure that the idea and the platform has evolved and reached a point where we can take that step. But I think we're reaching there. Hopefully, it's not far off. But I agree, 100%. As soon as we can get that done, we will. But yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap to be able to do so.
Great. So yeah, just the last question from my end. Where do you see this MyClubtap going towards in the next couple of years? Like, what is the plan? How big is it going to be? And do you have any big projects in pipeline that everyone can relate to?
Look, obviously, as the platform has, as I've said multiple times, it has continued to grow. It is going into different markets and spaces which I did not foresee either. I remember, when I got a call from you, I couldn't believe somebody there knew about the platform, and it's opened a completely different door in terms of the expansiveness with which we are thinking about indoor cricket. So obviously, that is going to be now a focus area, 100%, because that's something that we can see that there's a lot of value there and continue to explore on that level. However, there are other parts to MyClubtap as well, as in the normal outdoor cricket platform, which we are continuing to grow, and we're trying to continue to grow the platform a bit more in the Indian market now. So that's something that we're definitely trying to do. To go along with this, it's not just a cricket platform; it's also got other sports
Multi-sports, yeah.
sport wings to it. So to go along with cricket, MyClubtap has a platform for football, bowls, and basketball as well. So we do want to continue growing on those fronts as well as we're going along. It's a slow trajectory on those platforms, but that's something that we're looking at growing as well. So yeah, again, just to kind of sum it up in terms of where we are headed, we want to grow the number of sports and the sports that we are making available on the platform, and obviously definitely mobile app. I think that is something that's a no-brainer. And the third thing is integration. So like we spoke with, we're speaking about Toner Pro, to be able to integrate with platforms, again, just to kind of quicken that process. The platform can do a lot of things, but I think it'll just quicken the process of development as well, and just the experience overall for everyone as well. If we can start also integrating with data providers such as Toner Pro, I think that's one of those things that we definitely want to do as we move forward in the next year or so.
Yeah, you're based in Australia, and indoor cricket is huge there. I think I've mentioned it to you that they have their own as like a domestic team is there, and then they have an indoor cricket team for the same for all the states. So have anyone reached out to you from there, and have you been able
Not
to?
Not as yet, Kasim. But I think seeing this and how we've gone about doing this with ICPL, I think hopefully it's going to reach a few more places. I'm continuing to make all the efforts that I can from my side. So if anyone is listening, I'd love to be able to work with anyone and everyone out there. It's a platform built from people for people like us. So it's you get your hands dirty on the platform. You actually get to play around with it a lot more. So yeah, I'm definitely hopeful that we'll get to go a bit more places as well.
All right, whether you have anything to add?
Just one final thing, and it's not centered around the subject of cricket. I just want to check, since you've been living in Australia for a very long time now, in terms of innovation, how drastically different do you see Australia from the rest of the world, or maybe I think India in your case, because even in UAE where we stay, getting something innovative in terms of a new solution is a very, very big hurdle here, actually, right? And even in India, maybe in Pakistan as well. But do you feel it's a bit more easy in Australia to develop innovative solutions, or is it the same across?
I think, look, in terms of developing it, obviously there are a lot of things that get developed here. I live in Melbourne. Melbourne is like the sporting capital. You have everything in terms of sport that is here. So obviously there's a lot of innovation that continues to happen around me that I see all the time. The thing is more about the adoption of those things, and I think that is where the tricky part lies. There is generally more aversion to kind of picking up new things or learning about new things. I think that's a challenge everywhere. So yeah, I mean, it's not different than the rest of the world. However, there is more opportunities here. That's how I see it.
All right. Okay. I think that's pretty much it from my side. But I'm pretty sure once we are done with chapter 3 in ICPL, we'll have a lot many things to talk about. Possibly before that as well. In another episode, we'll go into more details. Qasim, anything from your side?
No, that's it. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Vicky, for supporting us throughout. I know that the time zones are big difference. While you were going to sleep, we were just waking up, and then we were just disturbing you with our thoughts and everything. So thank you a lot for that, and making sure that everything went smooth. We had a bit of issues here and there, but everything was catered to really well from your end. So thank you for that, and we look forward to having a lot more events with you in future.
No, I'd really like to thank you, Qasim, for reaching out, for initiating this. I remember in our first conversation, I said we can do this in terms of being able to cater to different needs that you put forward in front of me. So again, big opportunity. Thank you so much, and then definitely want to thank Shreya and Hussein as well. All three of you have been really instrumental in helping shape and help develop or grow the platform in terms of indoor cricket space. And I'm really, really excited to continue working with you guys and kind of see where it goes, because we just started kind of touching the pad or touching the sport. It's really, really early stages right now. I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing where it goes into the future. So yeah, chapter 3 or probably before that.
Yeah, we have something else coming up. So yeah, thank you so much again.
Right.
No, thank you so much, Qasim, and thank you so much, brother.
No issues. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.